Here I am, like, I'm excited, right? I'm like, okay, I'm starting therapy, I'm starting this journey. Like, this is the beginning of a new chapter, right? I literally didn't hear from this lady for like a week. They ended up giving me the therapist that I rejected. I already paid like 200 something dollars. And now you want me to pay every time I want to talk? Here I am. I have spent like $400 on therapy already, and I haven't really gotten much out of it. It's giving, I might have wasted my money here, but because I was so determined to do this, I didn't let that deter me. Hey guys, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video. So this video is a little personal. So basically in this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I did recently, a big thing that I did recently. Essentially, I started therapy. I started therapy in April, and part of why I decided to go ahead and start therapy is because honestly, I have always had like suspicions that I've had like some type of like mental health issues, and it was always a hard thing to like deal with and identify. And so I really just wanted to, talk to somebody and, see if some of those concerns were valid. And in recent months and with recent events, I've realized more and more that me trying to handle things on my own just really hasn't been working. And when I just think about my life in general up until this point, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of recollection of like happy moments. Like, I can count on my hand how many like happy moments that I can think of and that I can remember. But for the most part, all I remember is just me being like, sad and depressed all the time. And, usually when I'm going through those depressive episodes, which has been a lot of depressive episodes, and they usually last really long as well. Usually, when I go through stuff like that, I tend to lean on friends to help me get through a lot of that stuff. And I would always get a little frustrated when I felt like people weren't really helping me like that. But then it dawned on me that, a lot of people just don't know. Like, they just don't know how to deal with that kind of thing, and they don't really know the best way to support. Um, and even in me trying to like explain to people how, it's like they still just don't get it. And it just got to a point where I'm like, I'm tired of suffering. I'm tired of trying to figure this out on my own because it clearly isn't working. I don't want to continue to put that burden on my friends to try and like help me and fix me if they don't even know what to do in those situations, or they don't really know how to handle stuff like that, especially if they haven't gone through that themselves. And so I, just had the realization that I needed to seek a professional. Um, because yeah, I just, didn't want to keep putting that on other people, especially because, it just respectfully it just wasn't wasn't really helping. And so this, as y'all know, this semester has been really, really rough. Some things I've talked about already on camera, some things I can't talk about. But this semester has been really, really rough. And again, just looking back, I'm like, I feel like every other week, if not every week, I'm always going through some type of depressive episode where I'm like sad and crying, and I just don't know what to do. And so I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about therapy for a minute. Ever since I started college, really, I've been thinking about therapy. And, I think what kept me from doing it for so long is just, I would always get to a point where I would feel okay and I would get myself out of it. And so I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't really need therapy like that because I'm able to pull myself out of it. However, me pulling myself out of it is usually a very temporary thing before I just kind of fall back into the same habits. And, I feel like talking to someone that is licensed in the field, I feel like they can give me better tools on how to handle it. Because one thing I've kind of realized too is that I don't handle life well. Like I really don't handle life well. Like life respectfully has been kicking my behind for ever, and every single time like life goes left, it's like I just don't know how to react, I don't know how to respond, I don't know what to do. And so with me having that realization, but also like again, like as I spoke about in my breakup video, like I'm like, I'm tired. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of feeling this way. Like literally, like, but also too, like, when the breakup happened, with the way I was feeling, I actually got scared. As I spoke about in the previous video, so basically, like, I had got scared, right? Like, I had got scared that that feeling that I had of like, oh my God, like I can't function, I can't find my motivation. I felt like I'm about to like die. Like I was scared that I was going to stay in that place. And everybody around me was telling me that, breakups are hard and, you're going to feel it for a minute. It's going to take you a long time to get over it. And I'm like, I don't want to feel this miserable any longer. Like, and again, like I was trying, I was trying to get myself through it. I was trying to push through it. People kept saying, like do stuff that you enjoy and stuff, but it's like you don't even have the motivation to like eat or like get up, like trying to do stuff like, like a hobby or whatever. Like it's harder said than done when you're in that state. And that was not the first time either that I've been at that low point. And I always told myself that I would never get to that point again. And so the fact that I did, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. And I didn't want to suffer. I didn't want to suffer. And I felt like there wasn't, I didn't know what to do either. Because I'm just like, I don't want to feel this way. And I don't want to continue to suffer like this. But I don't know what to do on my own. And I think that everybody around me, they wanted to help and they wanted to see me get better. And they tried to give me, encouraging words and tips and things like that. But I don't think anybody knew how to handle what I was going through either, because it was such an extreme, um, it was such an extreme reaction to what was happening. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do therapy. Um, and honestly, like ever, like literally from the moment I signed up for therapy, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Like I don't even know what it was. Like I hadn't even started yet. It was just when I signed up, I just felt so much better knowing that I was gonna get the help that I needed. Granted, I didn't like the price I had to pay, but just signing up for it just made me feel a lot better. I felt like I was gonna get answers to a lot of things. And I just felt overall better that I was gonna have a guaranteed support system that is gonna help me. And so that's my reasons for starting therapy, right? So I kind of want to get into the therapy itself. And so I have been doing online therapy, and I also want to preface this by saying that this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. This is all off of me starting therapy on my own. Everything that I talk about in this video, I paid for out of my own pocket, and it hurt my pockets. But yeah, I just want to put that out there. This isn't sponsored. This is a authentic, organic review of these platforms. And so I started online therapy, and I had experiences with both BetterHelp and Talkspace. And so I was doing my research on both, and just based off of reviews, based off of things that I saw, I tried Talkspace first. I tried Talkspace first because I just saw more positive reviews of Talkspace. I saw people saying that they had a better experience with Talkspace. When it came to the therapists on there, I saw more people saying that the therapists on Talkspace were more effective than the ones on BetterHelp, because the ones on BetterHelp seemed, I don't know, like not authentic, I guess. And also, like, I had heard some things about BetterHelp and them like selling data to other companies or whatever. And so I was like, okay, it's giving Talkspace. So I tried Talkspace. I signed up, paid the $200 something to do Talkspace, and I think that was with a discount too. Like, it is no joke. But yeah, so I paid for the month subscription with Talkspace just to test it out. And then I was able to choose from two therapists, and I chose one that I saw that had like better reviews. So yeah, so basically I signed up and got matched with a therapist. And but also too, also part of why I went with Talkspace is because they offered a psychiatric evaluation, and that was something that I really was interested in, because again, like, I've always had suspicions about, like, my mental health. And so I really wanted to see if there were any, like, mental health disorders or anything like that that I was suffering with, and so that I can know it, I can identify it, and I can, start working towards, handling those sort of things. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I got matched with a therapist, and she seemed like really, really nice, right? Like, she seemed really nice. We got like all of the like logistics out the way. She sent me this like 20 question long questionnaire to fill out with like basic information about me, like, age, education, what are my goals for therapy, what's my home life like, stuff like that, right? So here I am, like, I'm excited, right? I'm like, okay, I'm starting therapy, I'm starting this journey, like, this is the beginning of a new chapter, right? So I take the time to fill out this whole thing, right? And she's been pretty responsive up until this point. And so I fill out the application. I fill out the questionnaire. I sent it to her, and she was like, okay, cool. I'm going to process these questions, and we're gonna go from there. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm waiting, and no response. And again, this plan for Talkspace is not cheap. Neither one of them are cheap. But yeah, so in the plan that I paid for, it includes at least one response a day. And so the way that it's set up is basically it's text-based therapy, and like different plans include like different things. And so the one I had was like, primarily texting, but you also have the option to do audio messages or video sessions. And so, but all in all though, I'm supposed to get at least one response a day, which even now I was like, I don't really know if it's worth it. Granted, I know that in general you can't like be talking to your therapist all day long, but I definitely wanted to have more than just one response. But I was okay with that starting out. But the problem was I didn't even get that. I literally didn't hear from this lady for like a week. And again, this plan is only for 4 weeks. It's very, very costly. And at this point, it's like I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth. And so I'm like, okay, it's giving. I might have wasted my money here. But because I was so determined to do this, I didn't let that deter me. I know for a lot of people, like something like that will probably make them not want to do therapy or make them like put a pause on it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna give up. And so I that's when I started to look back into BetterHelp. Um, because I've seen so many people promote BetterHelp, but again, like I had just seen certain reviews, heard certain things about them, and I'm like, but at this point, Talkspace wasn't working, so I'm like, okay, let me look into BetterHelp, and so found me a little discount code, and but I essentially ended up paying around the same thing. So here I am. I have spent like $400 on therapy already, and I haven't really gotten much out of it, and so paid another 200 something dollars to do BetterHelp. And when I tell you it was such a like way better experience, right? I got matched with a really nice therapist, and one thing I noticed too was like the therapist that I had on BetterHelp, she seemed way more personable than the one I had on Talkspace. On Talkspace, because which was funny, right? Because I with the reviews that I saw, people were saying that BetterHelp came across as very robotic, but from my experience, Talkspace came across as very, or the specific therapist that I had on Talkspace came across as very robotic, and like I said, I didn't hear from her, so I wasn't even getting much use out of my plan, and so basically with the BetterHelp one, I felt like her messages were way more personable. I felt way more comfortable with her. I'm like, okay, this is great, right? And so yeah, so basically, I was able to schedule so basically they have like live sessions, right? And you get to choose what type of session that you want. Do you want a texting session? Do you want a phone call? Or do you want a face to face over like FaceTime or whatever? And so, I chose texting because that's what's most comfortable for me. And I was able to schedule that immediately. And yeah, that whole experience with her was way, way better than the experience that I had on Talkspace. And so yeah, that's where I'm at currently with therapy. I am talking to a therapist on BetterHelp, and that has been a much more enjoyable experience for me. And getting into some of the pros and cons that I haven't touched on already. I know, like with BetterHelp, they have a journal feature, and journaling. So, okay, I'm not really like a traditional journaler. Usually, when I'm writing down my feelings, it's through like my notes app on my phone, or it's through a Google Doc. I usually don't like sit down, pen and paper, writing in a journal. But I do tend to write out my feelings a lot, and that's actually how I prefer to communicate my feelings to people is through a journal. Like even like, well, I won't get into that, but yeah, that is how I best communicate my feelings to people, and so I like the fact that BetterHelp has a journaling feature, and it's tied into a calendar as well. And so if you want to see what you wrote on April 13th, you can do that. And so I really like that feature. And you can share your journal entries with your therapist, which I also love because, again, that's how I communicate best. And also, too, I want to mention as well that so BetterHelp and Talkspace are kind of similar with their plans. Because with BetterHelp, it's also the same thing of like you're guaranteed at least one response a day. But she is actually my therapist on BetterHelp. She's way more responsive, way 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 more responsive, and like I can literally message her throughout the day and she'll respond. She won't just limit herself to like the once a day requirement, which I love that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sold. But so yeah, Getting to more of the pros and cons. So, yeah, so BetterHelp, they have the journaling feature. But also too with BetterHelp, so you are guaranteed at least one live session a week, and you don't have to pay for it. One thing I didn't notice on Talkspace, and I don't know if this was in like a more expensive plan or what, because I got the base plan for both of them. Whatever the cheapest plan was, that's the one I got for both platforms. On Talkspace, if you wanted a live session, and a live session is basically where, just like you do like in normal therapy, like you have your session with your therapist, and you guys are talking and getting that interaction for a certain amount of time, right? And again, that can be through phone call, face to face, over not FaceTime, but like video call, or texting, right? With Talkspace, I did not know that you had to pay extra to do a live session. So the plan I had, right, responses once a day. If I wanted an ongoing conversation, like if I wanted like an actual conversation with my therapist, I had to pay each and every time. It was literally if I remember correctly, a $65 fee every time I wanted to live chat with my therapist. And I'm like, I already paid like 200 something dollars. And now you want me to pay every time I want to talk? Like, that was just like wild to me. But on BetterHelp, that's included in the base plan. And so you get one free session a week, and you don't have to. The only time you pay is if you want an extra session that week. And if you want an extra session that week, you only get charged $25. And so I think, um, all in all, it's way more cost effective on BetterHelp because they aren't charging you as much for everything. So that was really nice. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I also like the fact that on BetterHelp, when you send a message, you can mark it as urgent because again, like, like if you like need an emergency or you need to talk about something like, relatively quickly, your therapist will be notified and they'll answer you right then and there. Well, hopefully, they'll answer you right then and there. One con that I want to point out though is that, so again, like you have the live chat sessions available on both platforms. What I will give Talkspace is that when you have your live chat sessions on Talkspace, the conversations are saved. And so if you guys talk about anything or your therapist gives you good advice, you can go back and read it. But on BetterHelp, unfortunately, the live chat sessions are erased as soon as the session is over. And so you do have to either like take notes or take screenshots of your conversation because once it's gone and you can't go back and look at it, which I really don't like that aspect of it. But you gotta pick your poison at this point. um but yeah, I think that's all I could think about. But yeah, honestly, that's my honest review of both platforms. I definitely feel like I got more value out of BetterHelp. Again, I don't know about all the allegations or whatever, but just in terms of me getting the help that I need and feeling supported and feeling that connection to my therapist, I had a better experience on BetterHelp. But I know people who haven't, and had like had a worse experience with BetterHelp, but had a better experience on Talkspace. It just all depends on your experience. So I'm just speaking for me. Okay, so one quick thing too about Talkspace, right? So there was a therapist that I declined, right? Like, I was given two options, and so I picked one over the other, and it was for a reason. Um, but when and also before I hopped over to BetterHelp, I probably should have said this way earlier in the video. I did try to get matched with a different one. I didn't just up and quit the app immediately. I did try to get matched with another one, but trying to get matched with another therapist was really really hard. Because because usually like you'll fill out a couple questions and they'll just give you new options. But I actually had to end up getting matched with like an agent. I had to like talk to them about what I was looking for, and They ended up giving me the therapist that I rejected. And if my memory serves me correctly, I remember seeing on Talkspace that if you choose not to, or if you, something about like if you decline a therapist or if you don't choose that therapist, they aren't going to recommend that therapist to you again. And so for me to get matched with her was like, okay, this is a sign. This is a sign that I need to go ahead and try something else. And I'm really glad that BetterHelp worked out because, yeah, and I'm also glad too that it didn't take me that long to find a therapist that works best for me because I know a lot of people have had to go through like multiple, like 3, 4, 5 different therapists trying, and then at some point they might have given up because they're just like, I've gone through so many. Is it even worth it at this point? But honestly, I say if you want to try out therapy, go for it. And like I said, if you're like me and you prefer to like, text or have like more, not private, but less like intimidating in the room, in your face type therapy, I would definitely recommend online therapy, but also it's more convenient. Um, than having to like drive and sit in the office. And one thing too, with both platforms, I know their sessions are also different in length. I can't quite remember the length for Talkspace, but for BetterHelp, it's a 45-minute session, which isn't too bad. Um, and I believe that the one on Talkspace was 30 minutes, and the one on BetterHelp was 45 minutes. And so, yeah, like I said, overall, I think BetterHelp is just the better platform, in my opinion. But, and also, too, now that I remember, when I did my first live session, they gave me another session for that same week for free. And I didn't know that I was going to get that. They didn't advertise that. They didn't say, like, they were giving away free weeks or anything. They just gave me a free week. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it. So, yeah, that's my experience with both platforms, my authentic experience. Like I said, I paid my own money on both of these platforms. I'm just speaking on what worked best for me. But, yeah, but even though this is not sponsored, I will link in the bio of this video. Um, if you guys want to try out either platforms, because I do have a link for if people sign up, then both me and that person get a free week. And so if you guys are interested in trying that, and you guys are interested in trying out one of these platforms, I'm gonna link it in the bio below. So if you guys would like, definitely check those out and click them. um, but yeah, if this was beneficial to you in some way, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up and leave me comment down below what your guys' experience has been with therapy. If you've thought about therapy, anything to that regard, or what your experience has been like with these platforms, help other people figure out where to go. And yeah, make sure that you guys subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.